Hello everyone and welcome to a Read-a-thon wrap-up. This one was for the whole year, but I have now finished it. It is the end of August. I don't remember when I finished this particular one. This was a 4x4 bingo card, and it was based off of the show and the book, The Princess Bride. It is called The Princess Bride-athon. The host, and I will link her channel in the description box, is Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails. She has a good channel, especially if you like Christian fiction. She does a lot of reviews for, or a good amount of reviews for some Christian fiction book hauls, things like that. So if you're interested in Christian fiction, she would be a good place to start. Okay, so I have got a blackout, and I finished this either at the start of August or the end of July, so I'm not quite sure. So prompt in no particular order. I'm just going from the top, this top corner here, and let's see. Okay, so it's just gonna go like this. So left to right. Like when I'm reading it, it's left to right. Okay, so the first prompt I have is Princess Buttercup. This is to read a book that has red on the cover. I did an ebook. It was a cozy Christmas. It was Humbug. This is set in Utah, and it is a clean romance, and a clean Christmas romance. Would I go as far as saying it's a Christian romance? I would not. The references to any deity are done via a Christmas carol or a song and a mention of going to church. But religion is not at the forefront of things. There is death in this, the death of a loved one, so just beware going in. This was 103 pages, and I gave it 4 stars. Prompt number 2, this one left them all behind. This was to read a 5-star prediction. Every book in this series has gotten 5 stars from me up until this point, and so I expected 5 Furry Familiars by Lynn Cahoon. This is a cozy mystery. This is book number 5 in the Kitchen Witch mystery series. Every book previous to this has gotten 5 stars. I expected this to get 5 stars, and it did get 5 stars. This was 271 pages. For this one, we're following Mia Malone. It's your cozy mystery, standard cozy mystery. There's a dead body. In this case, Mia Malone owns a catering business, and she inserts herself into the investigation to figure out who killed said person. And she starts to work more and more with the police. So there you go. That's your standard cozy mystery formula. Number 3, Wesley. It's to read an adventure story. I went with an ebook, and this is definitely considered an adventure. There is traveling in this. It is a young adult high fantasy, and I read Magician's Gambit by David Eddings. I gave this one 4 stars. It was 376 pages. I would say adventure along the lines of Lord of the Rings. Okay, if you read that series, there's a lot of traveling. There are battles. So, except this is a young adult version. Okay, next up is As You Wish. This is your reader's choice, so whatever I wanted. I went with a library book, and I read Above the Fire by Michael O'Donnell. I gave this one 3 stars. It was 225 pages. Now looking back at it, I remember this man goes hiking in the mountains with his son. People in the mountains start to lose contact with those not in the mountains, and so people leave, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll get back in touch, but all communication has died down. They can't get back in touch, so the people in the mountains have no idea what is going on. And so there's concern, is there a killer in the woods? What's going on? So yeah, I give this one 3 stars. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Farm Boy. This is to read a borrowed book. So I borrowed this book from the library. I read That Night in the Library by Eva Jorczyk. I'm not quite sure how to say this name. This would be considered dark academia. A group of kids decide to meet at night in a library. They kind of hide away. Like if you've seen Home Alone, it's kind of that thing where they hide away, or someone is in there and lets them in. Something along those lines, but there's someone that is able to gain access to the library after hours. They do this ritual, and then drugs are involved, and so you're trying to figure out, is it really the drugs that Is it possibly making them hallucinate, or is this something real, like a serial killer is amongst them and they're confined to this library basement? And that is the story. I gave it 3 stars. It was 270 pages. Next up, The Fire Swamp. This is to read a hot new release. I read The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. It was my first experience reading this author. I will definitely be picking up more. This was a novella. It was 77 pages. I gave it 4 stars. So this one, we have this man and a woman who are in an apartment complex, and the landlord is arranging like a kind of this renovation type situation. Well, there was a mix-up, and this man and woman live on like the 2nd floor, and the stairs are removed, so they are stuck. Do be aware this does have stalking, a lot of stalking, a lot of talk. If you are adamantly against guns, be aware guns are talked about quite a bit, but they are talked about in a form of self-defense, like a concealed carry, especially when it comes to the stalking. And it's a romance, and it was really cute. I thoroughly enjoyed this one, so I gave that one 4 stars. Next was MLT. Is that right? Yeah, MLT. Okay, this is to read a second chance romance. I went with Quiet Night by A.K. Landow. This one follows Jessica and Hayden, and it's their story. This one, they meet when they're still in high school. They both lose their virginity to each other. That's in the first chapter or the prologue. And then we're following them years later as there's talk of eating disorders, there's talk of depression or anxiety, there's talk of body dysmorphia or really poor self-image, things like that. They are both doctors, and they happen to meet and be working in the same hospital, and it's their second chance of love. It was like an instant attraction in the first little bit, and they're still highly attracted to each other, but they're trying to overcome these feelings and emotions for whatever happened after they lost their virginity to each other. So this does get spicy, so this is sexually explicit, so do be aware of that. Okay, next up, Fezzik. This is to read a book of poetry. I tried my hand at horror poetry. This is the first horror poetry I ever read, and that's Nightlife by Alba v. Sarria. This was not for me. I didn't fully understand it. So with me giving it a rating off of enjoyment, it'd be a 1 star. It just was not for me. I can't even tell you what it's about other than it's tagged as horror poetry. And that was 71 pages. Next up, Vicini. This is to read a book with a villain point of view. For this one, I read a library book, and I read What Doesn't Break by Cassandra Khaw. I gave this one 5 stars. It was 253 pages. This was my second or third experience reading from this author, and I will continue to pick up books by Cassandra Khaw. I have a great time. For this one, think undead. And the undead is seen as the villain, driven out of towns, forced out of towns, has to hide her identity because people will try to kill her and chase her from the town. So she is seen as the villain. She doesn't see herself as a villain, but others see her as a villain. So I still counted it because the majority of people see her as a villain. I counted it as a villain POV. Okay, moving on. And the next prompt is, I'm not a witch, I'm your wife. This is to read a book with mistaken identity. For this one, I went with Anna on the Edge. This is a middle grade. This has autism rep, and it is by an author that has been confirmed to be autistic. So this was one of the reads for the Autism Reads read along that I host, where the link is always in the description box of these videos. And this one also has quite a bit of LGBT rep. You have gender questioning. You have someone learning what non-binary means, transgender means, all of this stuff. So you do have I think that, if I remember, I think the author's transgender. I could be wrong on that. But actually, let me see if there is. It's writer, editor, competitive skater, long-time figure skater. He has passed his U.S. figure skating senior moves in the field and freeze tests medal twice as a U.S. synchronized skating champion and currently dabbles in ice dance. When he's not exploring the world as much as possible, he lives in San Francisco Bay Area with his boyfriend and 2 cats who act like dogs. And on the Edge is his first novel. Okay, I could be wrong. He does go by he, they. So yeah, but this does have a lot of rep. The mistaken identity comes into question when Anna, with how Anna has cut her hair, it's her at the beginning. As the main character has cut their hair, this new person arrives in town, doesn't know who Anna is, and thinks Anna is a boy, and says, like, he calls him he or something like that, and doesn't make them uncomfortable. And so that makes them start to question. So gender identity, mistaken identity. So that works. I gave that one 4 stars. It was 369 pages. Next up is ROUSs, so rodents of unusual sizes. This is to read a book over 500 pages. This barely fit. I read Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This was 503 pages. And I gave this one 4 stars. It's a higher fantasy, and you have fantastical elements as far as people are able to scribe. It's called scribing or scribing. Scribing. They're able to scribe runes or images, symbols onto objects, and then basically they could scribe something in this book, and then it would make it so the book can just float. Like gravity would not exist to it. It can zoom across the room, things like that. So yeah, that's that book pretty much. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so the 12th prompt I have written down is, anybody want a peanut? I love that scene, the rhyming scene. This is to do a buddy read. So for this one, this was a buddy read for the Autism Reads. The adult pick for whatever month this was the Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. This one we're following Stella. She wants help in the flirting and dating department. She doesn't like the feel of sex, mostly because the men come, it does get sexually explicit, the men come over, do what they need to do to satisfy themselves, and don't do anything for her. So she thinks that's the way it's supposed to be, and then she meets this guy who happens to be a male escort, and he shows her that that's not how it has to be. So, and it just goes from there. It's their romance. So 314 pages, and I gave this 4 stars. Next up, Country of Gilder. This is to read a book that takes place in a fictional place. For this one, I read Castle of Wizardry, which is part of the the Belgariad series by David Eddings. I gave this one 4 stars. It's 375 pages. Again, this is in the same one as the first book that I mentioned, which was, or the second or third book? Third book, Magician's Gambit. It's in the same thing. Think a young adult version of Lord of the Rings. Okay? And that's that. I gave that one 4 stars. It was 375 pages. Next up, Iocane Powder. This is to read an ebook or an audiobook. I went with ebook, and I read this one. I don't know if I would say Christian fiction, but it leans a little bit more towards it, but I don't think it's fully in that category. This one was a novella. It was 121 pages, and that was Jedidiah and Abby, or is it Jedidiah and Emma? I think I've got it written down wrong, but I'll put the correct title in the description box. Anyway, this is by Emma Morgan. So I gave this one 4 stars. It's a historical fiction romance. The only reference to any sort of Christianity is talk of the Bible, needing her glasses to read the Bible, and that's it. This is a mail order bride. Something is omitted, and then it's a question of, is she going to stay or is she going to go? It takes place on a farm. Okay. Next up is The Dread Pirate Roberts, and this is to read a book with pirates. I am going with Well Met by Jen DeLuca. So this isn't like Pirates at Sea, but this is at a Ren Fair, and this is a romance, and I gave some 4 stars. It was 316 pages, and the female lead has volunteered as one of the main characters there, so that her niece can also be a character there. So her niece is assigned to be like a lady in waiting to the person that's acting as the queen. So this aunt has been assigned to work as a wench or a barmaid, but they were called wenches back in the day. So this is a Renaissance fair. They're trying to be as historically accurate as possible. I don't know how accurate it is, but this sure made me want to attend a Ren fair. I've always wanted to go to a Ren fair, but this really heightened it. Physically, I can't, but really made me want to. So Well Met by Jen DeLuca. And then this guy, who turns out to be the love interest, dresses as a pirate. And there's other characters, it does mention other characters dressed as pirates. And so, I mean, they're fictional pirates, they're historical pirates, whatever, and they're at a Ren fair. So they're not at sea, but they are still pirates. They're playing the characters of pirates. So I am counting this. I gave this one, what did I say? Oh, 4 stars, 316 pages. And it was just a good, fun romance. It does get a little spicy, not nearly like the Kiss Quotient. This is a little bit easier when it comes to spice than the other one. Okay. And then the final prompt is Inigo Montoya. Hello, you killed my father. Prepare to die. This is to finish a series. So for this one, I went with volume 2 in a complete collection. This is a complete manga collection, and that is Orange by Ichigo Takano. And this has like 4 or 5, maybe 6 of the Orange manga series bound up into one. So I read this whole thing. I gave this one 4 stars, 523 pages, and it's a young adult. The fantastical element is that they're adult selves of these teenagers write a letter, it goes back in time, they get these letters, and the goal of the letters is to save one of their friends from committing suicide. So suicide is a big topic in this book. So if you're not comfortable reading about that yet, just please be aware. There's a lot of references to that. And a lot of references to death of loved ones, like parents, things like that. And that is it. So those are the books that I read for the Princess Bride-athon. Again, this was created and hosted by Katie from Paperbacks and Ponytails. And again, I will list Katie's channel in the description box if you would like to check it out. I do highly recommend checking her channel out. So that's a total of 4,279 pages. Divided by the 16 books, that's 267.44 pages per book. So just under 267 and a half pages. That's 61 stars issued. That divided by the 16, it comes to an average rating for this read-a-thon of a 3.81 star rating per book. Not bad. So let me know, are you or have you participated in the Princess Bride-athon? Did you enjoy it if you've completed it? If you are doing the Princess Bride-athon, how many more prompts do you have left? I mean, we're at the end of August, so do you think you'll be finishing it by the end of the year? Definitely let me know. And what has been your favorite read thus far of the year? Definitely let me know. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I will talk to you later.